Hi y'all. I'm already crying, so that's a great sign. TK is here too. If you guys are watching on YouTube, she's
Hi,
here
guys.
for moral support and to help with the episode because obviously this is like really difficult. But my little brother passed away. He was 20. Ugh, I hope you guys can understand me. He passed away at the end of January or mid-January, and so that's obviously why there's been reruns. Like I'm assuming most of you know if you like follow me on Instagram or anything. I filmed like the YouTube video that I filmed that was just like more brief, and I like stopped the entire way through it. Like grief is just really weird, and we've already lost a step sibling. My stepbrother passed away 5 years ago, and like 6 years ago we lost a cousin that I was very, very close to. So I've had a lot of grief in my life. Grief is also, it's very different than losing a grandparent. Like it's very, very different, and so it's just, I don't know, grief is weird in the way that like I always say like I'm really like hour by hour, like sometimes I'm like really okay and I've been like a lot better this week that you guys have been here, and then other weeks like I literally sat in my bed for like probably 3 weeks needle pointing, like I'm not kidding.
Which rightfully so.
Yes, like I do want to get back to things. Like I'm not at 100%. I don't know if I'll ever honestly be at 100% again, but I'm not anytime soon. Like I do want to get back to things, and like because it is a good distraction for me. I also obviously have to like work. This is my job. Like obviously I can't just like not do anything. But I also like genuinely love it. So I will be coming back, but I did just want to kind of record an episode about it. I'm not going to get into like the details of like his actual passing and reasoning. One day I will definitely, like we want to do a lot. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess like no one really shares that stuff anyways. It's not anyone's like business, but he had struggled a lot with mental health, and like we'll get into this later in the episode, but like the state of Texas has failed us immensely. Like the past 3 years have been so difficult already, and I don't know, I don't know, it's obviously so difficult to go through, and like you don't think you're gonna like bury your little brother, and we were so close. Like I loved him so much, but yeah, it wasn't like intentional. It wasn't like, yeah, I mean eventually at some point, like when I can talk about it more, I'm sure I will. Like I just, yeah, so anyways, I do just want to say, like, before I even get into that episode, like, I've had the literal best friends ever. Like, TK's in Texas right now. Like, I guess I'll get into, like, when I called you, or when you called me and stuff in a second, but, TK, like, literally edited the entire, like, when you have, like, a funeral video, you have, like, photos and videos, the songs and stuff, like, she literally edited the entire thing. And
available for hire.
literally. And like actually it's another skill set she has in case anyone needs
Me
her.
not being a physical touch person, I'm like no, no, but like
No,
it's
literally.
like it's the instinct in me, the maternal,
very maternal, yes,
whatever,
literally. Dom flew in that night. Macy and Dom, I mean, I literally like my whole life, like they didn't leave me alone for weeks. My friends in Dallas have been like so amazing. Like Keaton flew in. I didn't even think about like that. It was just like people have been so amazing, even friends that like I literally just know online, like I don't even know in real life. Like people have just been like really so amazing. And like anytime I talk about like how like much like I mean you couldn't even go into my kitchen because it was literally like a florist.
Yeah, I
place.
texted
Like,
Kenzie and I was like, hey, just want to make sure, we were talking on the phone, I was like, just want to make sure, like no worries, but like did you get my flower arrangement? She was like, I'm gonna be so honest, I did, but I have no idea which one is which. She was like, I have so many to go.
There was like 47 we counted on, but like there was no, I don't know if you saw the photo.
Which is such in a dark time, an awesome testament to how good of a friend you are, because it was so easy for people to send something.
Yeah, and people were
because you're
like,
such a good friend
nice
to people, and they wanted to show their love, which is by sending flowers. Yeah. To show that they wanted to be there for you in this horrible, horrible, horrible time.
Yeah, thanks. Also, like, for those watching on YouTube, I know my spray tan is really messed up. Okay?
That's the least of anyone's worries.
But, like, I just wanted to, like, clear the air because I know.
I love your spray tan hand.
It's really, it's just one finger. So
you're
like,
literally just a girl.
I'm literally just a girl. No, I'm literally just a girl. So, I do want to go into, like, I think just more about, like, Cody, and, like, I will talk about, like, the day and getting the call just because I thought about this morning and it was, like, really interesting. Also, I think I told you about my cousin having like a weird experience where I think I maybe told you this.
I don't know.
We'll go through. I don't remember what I told anyone. I really don't remember like so much about it. Like there's memories that like come back to me, and we're like literally 4 or 5 weeks out at this point that I'm recording this. And I just don't like, there's so many things that I like literally do not remember.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot. And this is like my absolute worst nightmare coming true. Like there's nothing that I was more scared of in my life. Not because it was like on the table necessarily. It's just, I think when you've already like lost people so close to you and like gone through it as a sibling and watched your step siblings go through it, like it's just like, I mean, there was just like nothing that could have, there's nothing in my life that would have been worse than this, you know?
Absolutely. I cannot even imagine. Yeah. I cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
And you are close with your siblings and have always been obsessed with Cody. Like you were best friends.
Yeah. Cody was like the greatest person that has ever existed. And like, I know a lot of people say that stuff like once someone passes away and they're like, oh, they were so amazing and all this stuff and whatever. And like, you know, like the TikToks and people are like, please don't lie about me at my funeral and like say that like they're kidding about it, whatever. Like he really, really, really was. And like any of my friends who like knew him so well were like, there was just no greater person in the world. Like he was so kind. He didn't have a mean bone in his body. He was so like the least critical, the most open-minded, the most comforting. Like the person that I would want to comfort me right now is him. And like there's no one that like I could talk to more about things. Like there's just no one who was like more calming and like grounding, which is interesting because at the funeral, like my sister and I gave eulogies, and then 2 of his best friends did as well. And like everyone didn't, obviously we weren't like exchanging eulogies before, but every single person said the exact same thing about him. They're like, he's the most comforting person, the most grounding, the most like, I don't even know how to describe him, like calming. Like there's no, he would just like, if you were ever anxious and you're right, like just very, very calming. But he had he was really struggling, and also no one tried harder. Like he would wake up at like 5 a.m. he would go sauna, he would work out, he would run, he would journal, he would meditate, he did everything he possibly could. He like made every single effort he possibly could.
He's doing all the things.
He did all the things, and like he was never given the chance to fully get better, you know? And so like that is so difficult because it's just like, it's so unfair. But also I will say I'm reading this book called Imagine Heaven, and it's actually like an incredible book, even if you're not. It's a great book for grief. It doesn't it's not like coaching you through grief really, but it's like giving you more of like a visual into heaven. It's a very interesting book. My dad actually had been listening to it on audiobook like a year before, and just like out of the blue the week Cody passed, like happened to start listening to it and like had no idea.
Wait,
obviously.
your dad?
My dad, yeah.
Whoa.
So he was like telling us to read it anyways.
That's crazy.
It's so crazy. So I started reading it, and it's so helpful. But like I do kind of think that like we all have like a set time on earth, and I think that was just like Cody's time on earth, and it was just, I don't know, like what I wanted to say that I was thinking about earlier is that normally when something really bad in my life happens, like that's like either to me or affecting someone around me, like I have a really, really, really horrible feeling. And I've always had it specifically with Cody. Like I've always been able to tell, like anytime in the past couple of years that something bad has happened, I get like sick, and I call every single time. Anytime there's been like a big whatever in his life, I always knew.
Which I have to say, knowing your guys' relationship makes sense because you're almost like how I was describing you and Molly last night. Molly's here as well, and I was like, you guys almost have twin telepathy, like you know, when they can tell when something's off or something great is about to happen or whatever. I feel like you definitely have that same energy with Cody, or you had that same energy with Cody. And I wanted to chime in and say all of the things you said that were amazing about him just now. You as a friend, like knowing you for the past like 10 years, you have always said that about him, like off camera. Yeah. Like that was just, everyone has known that about Cody. And it's cool that when he was here, you were so positive, encouraging, and like saying all those things in real time, like in real life, you know?
He was really good at being like expressive and like telling you what he loved about you too.
And you are good with your words. You are great with words of aff. And I just think it's cool because it makes me want to be more like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
same.
Because you forget sometimes the people you're around all the time. You're like, oh, they're so awesome, duh. Like, but we forget to praise people because it means a lot, you know? But you always have done that with him.
It's a grief thing though. Like, because I've lost so many people in my life, like I don't let things sit. Like, I think in the past 5 years of like our stepbrother passing, I think Cody and I had one, and we were so close. I mean, to only have one big argument is actually kind of crazy. And like, we didn't talk for like a couple of days, and that was it. And I still was like, I love you. Like, I would never let it like,
of course,
like it's just like, I'm very like, not like morbid, but like, I understand that like we're not here forever, you know? But what's weird is I would always like, even the night that like my stepbrother passed away, I was going to Morgan Yates like Christmas party, and I was on, you actually might have been there at that party, maybe.
Probably. And I remember the night that it happened. Yeah.
And I was driving and I like sideswiped someone on Ventura. I was living in LA, and I like never do that. And I was like, that's weird, but because I was so anxious. And then I got there and I'm like, I know something's wrong. And I was crying in our kitchen for no reason, and then I got the call the next morning.
Yeah, wow.
So, and every time something really bad, like my cousin Megan, I always know. So what's weird to me is that like I didn't have that feeling this time at all. And like that day, I'd woken up, it was a Sunday, I was like reading, I was like so excited because I was taking my niece Sophie and her friends to this Barbie thing at the mall, and then I was going to like garden plan with my grandma. It's like very classic.
She's literally the best aunt on the planet.
Yeah, and I'm also a grandmother. Like, I literally am a grandma. So I was waking up, I was reading, and I remember I just remember thinking, wow, I feel so calm today. Like, I feel so like at peace. Like, I remember thinking that. So I thought that was weird. And so there was like this Barbie activation at Stonebriar Mall, and Stonebriar Mall is like actually the mall that I like grew up at. And I was walking through, and that's the mall that I have like all the memories with like me, my sister, Austin, Alyssa, which are my two cousins that we're also like very, very close with and live here. And I just was like walking past, and I was thinking like, oh my, like I just remember feeling warm and like nostalgic weirdly. And I remember thinking, wow, I feel so calm. Like, I wonder what I did to feel this way. Like, I noticed it. And I don't know why. And I was walking past, and Cody collected records, and there was like a new record store, and I like texted him a photo being like, we should go here. Obviously he like never got the text, but I went.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I went and I took Sophie and her friends to this thing, and then I went and I was dropping her off with like my sister, my stepsister, and her family, and then I just like went downstairs and I was like passing Auntie Anne's, and then I got the call from my mom, and I just remember like my car was in the middle of getting like a wash, and I just like went like, I'm really good under like really high pressure situations, and I just went like numb. Like, I was like, there's just no way. And I called my sister, I think like my stepsister, and then I think I texted like Dom and like Lauren and Macy by the time I got to the door. And I called my like childhood best friend Maddie, who had like, I had been someone that I was like confiding in about like what I was going through with Cody. And like immediately called, and Dom like I remember like getting in the car and driving, and I was already going to my grandma's, and I like had to tell my grandma. And I remember like being in the car and calling Maddie and then Dom. But I just think like all that to say, like the fact that I felt so much peace that morning, and like now knowing he was already gone, like makes me think like it was really just like his time. Like, it was like meant to, like, I don't know, like that's just like how I have to think about it. Like, I can't be.
That brings you peace.
It brings me peace of like, at least like he's finally like really happy, and he's not having all of the like struggles and pain that he was having. And like, I don't know, even Molly was saying this, like she saw him last summer, and she's like, he's the best he's ever looked. Like, he had gotten so much better. And in high school he had these friends that we always thought were just his friends that were like, for lack of a better term, like bullying him, and were the fucking worst people in the entire world. Like, and made him really believe he was worthless. Like, made him think all of these horrible things about him, which is crazy because Cody makes me literally sick. Cody was the best person, again, you'll ever meet. The sweetest kid, the most amazing, the whatever. And these kids are fucking pieces of shit. Like, my dad's a lawyer kind of piece of shit. Like, so many stories about them that are just, they are fucking pieces of shit besides Cooper and Cole. Like, that's it. I mean, sorry, I'm sure there's other people, but like, whatever. they really made him believe that, and he had worked so hard to like instill confidence back in himself, and like he finally had, and he was finally in like a better place. So it's just like so hard knowing that, but also like in a way like kind of gives me peace to know that like he was finally able. But I would always say like, I just wish you could see yourself how we see you. Like it was just so crazy to me. I'm like, how do you like I'm like, you're a much better person than me, like how do you think that? Like, but it really was them. Like they were such pieces of shit. I literally hate them. I couldn't hate anyone more in my life, just to see like what they put my brother through. But like I share that more to be like, your words matter, like how you treat people really matters. Like you don't know, like even if someone's not in your life anymore, like those things like go through someone's head forever. Like I'm sure we can all think of something mean someone said to us when we were even 7, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, I do have like some sort of like, I guess, peace about like the fact that I was just like overwhelmingly feeling peace that day. And then like Dawn flew in that night, which I'll like never be able to repay her for. And I came home and like my like closest friends at home, like a lot of them were here and like had everything set and ready for me. And like Macy had like immediately like done everything and has continued to like literally do everything for me. And Dawn flew in twice. Like Dawn flew in and then had to go home. And then she flew in again for the service. She went with me to the funeral home. Like she was in the funeral planning thing, like with my parents. Like Dawn was already sat with me through losing like another sibling. She was with me when I got that call.
What do you mean going to the funeral?
Like when you have to go to the funeral home to like plan the service. So like
She
the
was
next day.
planning.
Yeah, she like came in and then I had to get all the like VHS tapes converted from like our childhood, and like I did edit that video, which actually was like very therapeutic. It's really jarring to me when I see videos of him like in the past like year or two, like seeing him like as like I knew him now. Yeah. But like seeing him as like a kid, that's why like all the photos of him like as an adult or in my house or not, it's all kid photos right now. Like I switched them because they're baby photos, and even those are like hidden right now because of the bridal shower. But like I don't know, it's just like very jarring. And then like I mean, what like my sister and I are going through is so horrible, but like to watch your parents like lose a child, like that is what, like it's just the worst thing I've ever in my life ever experienced. And they've like been very strong for me and my sister as well, which like I wouldn't even expect. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's literally the worst thing ever. But my mom and I do really want to start like a mental health. Texas is the last in mental health services. So when I say like Texas has failed us time and time again, like, and again, this wasn't intentional, but like we had been trying. We probably would not be in this place had we been able to get help all the times that my parents have like basically made this their full-time job of like trying to get help. Like Texas is the last state when it comes to mental health, which is crazy. Like no offense, but how is Alabama not behind us, or like Louisiana or something? Like no offense, like it is crazy. Like you would not think that, like I wouldn't think Texas is number one, but I wouldn't think, I don't know. And it has been a nightmare just to like see what my parents have gone through and what Cody has gone through, and like I don't know. So my mom and I want to start like some sort of like a foundation or something. I mean, it will be like some sort of a foundation. And that
about mental health, or
like in Texas, getting people help in Texas, because you can't, it's very hard to get into any sort of, it's very difficult to get treatment, like it's incredibly difficult, honestly, most places, and it's very expensive.
So expensive.
But even then, it's like, it's just, we didn't have the resources. We were failed time and time and time and time again. Like I cannot even tell you the amount up until literally the last day. Like it was just horrible. So we do want to start at like some sort of like a foundation or something. Like we will, and I think that will be like very helpful.
I was just going to touch on that, how much of a beautiful thing that is, because like you guys don't have to do that. I know you, and I knew you were going to do this. Like the second I literally think I told you, I was like, I can see you, because I don't know, I don't want to speak on behalf of you, but like I can only imagine for me, it would bring me peace knowing that this is my way of helping the situation or making light of it to help others.
Yeah.
But just because it might bring you some peace or it might help in some way or feel like you're helping doesn't mean that it's not super hard for you to do. Like that's a really beautiful and hard thing to take upon yourselves. And I just want you to know that we are really proud and grateful of you. Thanks. Grateful for you to do something like that, because a lot of people will benefit from you guys doing something like that.
Even like, and it sucks and it sounds horrible unless you've gone through it. I think people would even understand. Like, even if we help like 2 million people, like, I would still rather have my brother. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's still like, even I'm like, I was thinking of like things that I would give for, first off, I would have rather have gone than Cody. Second, like, I would literally like limbs. Like, I would give like anything to have my brother, obviously. And so it's just like, it is so like hard and so frustrating. But there's just been like so many people that have reached out and just been like so helpful and like understanding. And if they haven't been helpful or understanding, like I you know, you gotta let them know. So or not really, but I was saying to TK, I'm like, it would be nice. Like, one of my learning lessons through this has been that I don't hate enough people. Like, I really don't. Like, I get it from my mom. My mom is the least critical person in the world, and I'm just really not critical, and I really don't hate many people.
No, you don't.
So like, when
you're so non-judgmental.
Yeah, I'm like, so like whatever. Like, I don't care. So I would like to be a little bit more judgmental, and I like to be a little bit more hateful, because when you're in times like this and you really want to like let your anger out, like you don't have anyone to let your anger out on.
Wow.
There's like maybe one.
I didn't think of it.
There's 3 people in this world that I dislike, and they're all on behalf of my siblings. It's not because they've done anything personal to me. So like, I really like, in the people that I really obviously don't like in this, I can't speak to them, you know? So it's like, maybe I should be a little bit more
Normalize
hateful.
judging.
Normalize being more hateful, because when you get into this position, like, you're not going to have anyone to like go off on. So I did go off on like a guy, like a locksmith, because he was 6 hours late and was being such a dick, and he deserved it.
Period.
So hey, and you would do it too. Yeah, and you would do it too. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, please.
Regarding like, obviously it's been really beautiful seeing how much your friends and our friends have all showed up for you. Like, it definitely, at least from my perspective, has like really put things into perspective, and you know, made me reconsider just like little nitpicky things in my life. Obviously, like, none of that matters.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, because now, I mean, we've been friends for so long, and, you know, I remember I remember going through with what you went through with your stepbrother, and now this, I feel like I've asked you this off camera, but I wanted to ask you on camera, and just for someone at home that might be curious and, you know, they're wanting to be there for their friend, like, what do you feel like has been the most comforting or helpful for you having gone through this, like, as far as friends showing up for you? Like, what do you appreciate? What do you want the most help with? Do you know what I mean? Because from my perspective, I was like, I know she's getting a gazillion flowers. What expertise can I use to help her in her life? So I was really coming from the work perspective. I was like, listen, if you need anything edited, if you want help with podcasts, if you want promotion, like, I was like, anything there, I'm down to help with, because her whole entire world was rocked. Yeah. And that's the perspective I was coming from. But I was just ultimately trying to be creative and make it best for you, and, you know, help in any ways that I know other people couldn't. But I'm curious, like, from your perspective, like, what truly has been super helpful, and, you know, for someone that is dealing with grief, how can people show up for them?
Okay, there's a couple of things I want to say that brings me back to, I was going to say when I told TK. So I told like a couple of my like closest friends at home, like when it happened, and to let them know to tell the other people. Like, I was like, I don't want to do it. And there was like certain friends of mine, like I have like really close friends from childhood that I don't like see all the time now, but I was like, I need you to call this person and this person, because also like they grew up with Cody. So I was like, I don't want them to find out on like Facebook if something's posted, or like,
which is very kind of you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want that. And then I like just shut down.
And you didn't want to be like doing a phone call to every person in your life. Like I can't imagine how just weird that feels too. And that's so like traumatic, like reliving the reactions again and again and again too.
Yes. And then the next day, because I knew at that point, like, obituaries would come out and things, and I know how this works. Dom and I were like going to the funeral home, and it was like the Monday, and that's when I texted like you and Margot, Brooke, Danielle, and which they also Brooke and Danielle literally just left like a couple hours ago, which was so nice of them. But I like told like my closest like friends that like don't live here, basically, is like when I was like sending those texts, and TK called immediately was like, what can I do, like how can I help you? Like I remember so vividly like where I was driving when I was on the phone with you.
I was like, is this too much? I don't care, I'm calling.
No, it was
I mean, no one knows how to deal. No one knows how to deal.
And that was what I was gonna say. Like people don't know. Weirdly, Macy, like it's so odd because Macy like somehow really knows how to deal with someone in grief so well.
She has,
for someone who has no experience.
Macy does not deserve enough. Or
no, I know. That's
like,
what I keep saying.
She has showed the
fuck up. Like every time I was telling the girls, I was like crying about it.
Yeah, no, it's I like am like Macy.
Yeah, it's like so crazy though,
which is awesome
because even someone who has experience, like she literally couldn't have handled. Like I look back at that and I'm like, that's because I didn't even realize it during the time, because there's this thing called that my mom and I say like the grief police. We're in like support groups and people are understandably very angry. People deal with grief very differently. But like I said before, my mom and I are not very critical and not very judgmental. There are certain things that people will like that you can to say to a grieving person that you like shouldn't say that don't really bother me because I know that they're coming from a good place. But sometimes I think those people just it just does. It just sometimes there's no rhyme or reason and it bothers people. Certain things
triggers them.
Yeah. So like saying he's in a better place to like a grieving mom is like the worst thing you can say because they're like, his better place is like with me. And there's just like certain sayings I honestly don't even really like, because I just know like people say the quote wrong thing to me all the time. It doesn't bother me. Their intentions are good. Like, or the thing about like, you move on. Like, I mean, maybe everyone else moves on. I will never be able, you don't ever move on from this. Like, that's not how.
When people say that,
people will say like, you'll move on one day, you'll do this, or like, crazy. Or they'll say like, it's time to move on, or like stuff like that. And like,
this isn't a breakup.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. But like, you never, like, that's not really how you move on. Like, they explain, like, you have to go through it. Like, you have to go like head first on, go through it. But like, the way grief is, they always explain it, is like grief is a basketball and then your life like expands on top of it. The grief never really gets smaller.
Whoa.
But like your life gets bigger because then you meet new people, you do new things, you're getting older, you're doing like, you know what I'm saying?
Analogy.
So it's like that will always be there. Obviously, I mean, it's not going to feel the same way that it felt when it was fresh. It'll feel different. Like there's going to be a lot of different like phases and stages and things like that. But anyways, I think just as far as like friends go, my friends have just done like such an amazing job and just been there. But I think when it comes to people who are grieving, people just like don't know what to say. So they don't say anything at all. And like, you don't have to have the right words. There's also nothing you can say to obviously to make the situation better or even really to make that person feel better. So it's more so like, I'm so sorry, I don't have the words. Like, I'm just like, I'm here for you. I'm whatever. I think it's more so showing up in like acts than it is even like words sometimes. Or like, I had a call with Keaton, like I just called her about something random and then we were on the phone for like 4 hours and like, that was so helpful. And like, I know, like, I really do have like an actual like abnormal amount of very good close friends. Like I am just very lucky in that way. And also like I have
over the years.
From over the years, like most of my like close friends I've been friends with for like at least a decade, sometimes 20. Like, and then there's always like a couple, there's like the like Macy's and the Laurens and the Marissas that like have come, but like that I have the same relationships with them obviously that I have with those people, but it's rare that I like, I don't know, I have like an abnormal amount of like very, very, very good friends. Yeah, even just like distractions, like that's what I was saying to them. Like this is, I almost like, I was gonna make this a joke, but like I was like, it doesn't even have any gossip like on like my close friends. I posted, I was like, please, I'm like so miserable, like I need a distraction, like anything stupid, anything whatever. Like I actually do sometimes like to hear it when it's like dumb. I don't really, not necessarily like, I don't know, it's like, yeah, it does feel weird sometimes when it's like you hear someone complaining, but it's like their feelings are still valid and they still have
complaining about like life.
Dumb stuff or like a breakup or like I'm so heartbroken, and it's like you're heartbroken over a boy and you're like what, like you know,
he's alive.
Yeah, exactly. But like then it's like, I mean, like I've also felt that way. You're gonna feel that way. That's a normal human emotion. Yeah, don't mind the DoorDash. It's a normal like human emotion. And I try not to, like, there's very rarely times that I like get annoyed by that. But yeah, I think a lot of it is just like knowing you don't know what to say, and like that's okay, and just showing up and like in whatever way that is. I think it's very different person to person, you know?
Are there things that I like don't want to overstep, and it's not your job to know this either. Are there specific things friends have done for you that have really stood out and been like super helpful? I guess that maybe if someone else has a friend that they could do something similar. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, obviously you guys coming, like I was telling TK this yesterday, and normal, like another thing is like I want to say like there's no rhyme or reason as to like why I feel certain ways and I don't feel like certain things in life like just sound so unbelievably overwhelmingly draining for no rhyme or reason, while other things just don't. So like certain things, like a lot of it's just like people in my life, like it would be like
people, okay.
like I wouldn't.
That's super fair, but
yeah.
I feel that not
like period.
Yeah, I feel that period like not grieving.
Yes.
Like I'm like, oh, they sound draining.
It's like I can't do that right now, or I can't be in this crowd. But like there's like a friend that Macy and I met literally the weekend this happened, that I would like go to her couch and like sit with her for hours, and that would be amazing for me. Like so I can't really like give explanations like that. You guys coming obviously was so amazing, and like yesterday was we went to the ranch, was like the best I had felt since, like at all. I mean, I've done so much. Like TK's also like connected me with friends that have gone through like similar things, and that's been like really, really helpful. You are really helpful because you're just like not like strategic, but
I'm like a practical.
Yeah, you're very practical. That's the word I'm looking for.
I'm like practical grief.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, this would be helpful and this would be helpful.
But the only reason I feel like too, I've thought, well, one, I'm just like really fucking close with you, so I kind of know what you would want. Or I assume.
Yeah, you do. You do.
But like, I've dealt with my own grief with my own family and stuff. And like, all I remember learning from my family was like, my mom saying she was just like, they were there for me.
Yeah.
Like, they were there for me. And like, there were no details about it, but her being like, no, they were there. And I would be like, what do you mean by that? Because
no, like they physically sat with me, like when
just doing nothing, like showing up, or like I would just randomly text Kenzie, and I don't know if this helped or not, and I'm not trying to be like I would do this, but I felt like it helped from my behalf. I would just text her randomly, like ever since it's happened, I've texted her randomly, like, hey, love you, hope you're having a great day. Yeah. Or like, how's it going today? Like it helps because
grief is really isolating, so it does make you feel less alone. The other thing is like when I went to my grandma's, I went to my parents, and then I think Macy picked me up and drove me back home because my car was there and I just couldn't drive. And so like
rightfully so,
Marissa and Lauren must have like driven my car back home or whatever. I remember like walking into the house and it was like the 5 girls, and Dom hadn't landed yet, I don't think.
Which also Dom has been fucking incredible.
And it's really, really hard for me to ask for help. Like I am normally the person who is helping. Like I am not.
That's why everyone's showing up for you, because you always show up for everyone.
It's just really hard. Like for me to even be like, it's just very difficult. But like I texted Dom, I was like, I need you here. Like if I've ever needed anything, like I really need this. And like I've never done that in my life.
Which also, I have to say from my POV, Dom also texted me and was like giving me updates. Like I felt like it's nothing about this is cool, but given the circumstances, it was cool seeing the community of friends work together as a team to help make sure you were okay. Like we were trying to just do the most, and like Dom was relaying info to me and like what you needed at the time, and I was relaying info to other people in LA. And like seeing the community aspect of it has been a beautiful thing.
And Dom was close with Cody. Like they lived together at one point. Like so then
Dom has been incredible.
Yeah, and I mean they were kind of like my watchdogs basically, but essentially like the first week I think like we just moved all the mattresses from my guest bedroom, and we just made like a big pallet, and we just sat in my living room, and I had different friends who would like come over and sit with us for hours, and like half the time we weren't even really talking about it. We were just like, I just remember either I was always crying or I was like staring at a wall, and then we would talk about like other stuff. Like there'd be a couple hours a day where I was like joking a little bit more, or like not joking but like talking more or whatever. But I just had friends, like it was like a revolving door of like people coming, of like the people that I was like the closest with, or even like one of my like childhood like closest friends, like Landon, came over, and then he like brought a Starbucks the next day. He's like, what do you want? Like just stuff like that. Like that's just so sweet, especially because he's a guy, he's just not like that. Like he's also very private, so like hopefully he doesn't care that I mean I don't know, whatever.
Exposed.
I don't care, like, get over it. Yeah, sorry. But it's just, I will say, like, I don't have, and typically when you go through grief, you cut people off a lot because you're like, they fucking suck or they whatever. And I'm not like keeping tallies or anything, but I think I've just already been so mindful of my circle. There's like one person I'm not interested in being friends with anymore. I think that's it.
Which
like,
I understand.
is a big thing though, because
Justified.
normally you have like 10 people that you want to cut off, and
but how awesome
I've already done
that
it.
there's only one.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's a testament to my friends. Like, it is really crazy.
Moving forward, obviously the girls came here. We were showing up for you, and we're trying to. And we did the horseback riding, and we did, we had a great time. But moving forward, like, life moves on, and you're still dealing with this, and we're living our lives, right? So how can, as a friend, can I and can others show up for you moving forward? Because as the days go on, I can see why it's like, not as top of mind for some people.
Yeah. That's another thing too, is that I think like being there I always say like it's so much worse after the funeral. Like, it gets, because of the funeral, everyone's in town, like our whole family was here. We had like, there was so many people at this service that like there was no room for anyone to sit. Like, there was just no room. Like, our family alone, there was like 100 people. Like, it was really a really big service. So you're around all these people, and people are like watching your every move and taking care of you if you're lucky. And like, then everyone leaves and like you're just alone and by yourself.
Which is why we scheduled this
exactly
a month after the funeral, because we were like, we knew so many people were staying here, and like we knew you would have so many people around you, and
it's more helpful for you guys to have
and
come
you're
now.
busy during you're talking and grieving with so many different people. We were like, we want to be there for you when things have calmed down a little bit. But moving forward, like, is this something you would like regularly, like, a mini weekender thing?
I was gonna say,
I just would love to know so that I can help execute it, and so others can know.
I don't necessarily like know the answer because I haven't gotten there yet. I keep imagining like last week, like the morning that I picked up Molly from the airport on Sunday morning, like I had hosted my cousin's bridal shower the day before, which we had gone back and forth on like if we were going to, and then we just like needed a distraction. I'm glad I did it also, but like after that, it's like when you're around a big crowd of people and then you get back, like I like sobbed that entire night, and then I woke up. You wake up crying. You wake up in the middle of the night with tears. Like, so I had like a really bad morning that morning, and like this week I've been like, sometimes I think I just go back into shock. Like, shock doesn't wear off for a long time too, so I don't know.
I can't even imagine that part of it.
Yeah, it feels, well, it's even like
the disbelief,
Yes, it's even like I was on a call with like insurance to like switch. I had to get new homeowners insurance, and she's like, well, your siblings do this, or like your like whatever. Like, people always like, I always like worry about people like coming up to my dad or my mom and asking stuff like, how's Cody or whatever. And even like I was staying at my dad's like the weekend of the service, and it was like I had to like use Cody's bathroom, and it's like he has laundry, like you know what I mean, like his phone is like connected to my car still. Like, there's so many things that are like just so bizarre. Like, even on my Instagram, like for some reason if I scroll, it goes down and it's like a DM, like Cody's in my DM somehow, and it's like showing that.
Think about those little things.
It's just like little things like that are like really weird. Of course. To answer your question though, I do think girls trips would probably be like what would be the most helpful.
What about in between the girls trips? Like, do you appreciate, just as like the type of person you are, do you appreciate text or more so phone calls, or like
I think
like
it's
letters?
I feel like it's just gonna depend on like the day. I'm prepared to have like the worst year of my life. Like which was so ironic because I was like, I really feel like this is gonna be such a good year, and like career wise I felt that, and obviously it's not. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've gotten better at saying what I need though, and I think also like the people in my life that I'm so close to, I can say that. Like, I feel a lot more like comfortable being able to say like what I need. Also, another thing that really helps in grief is it actually really helps the person to talk about like their loved one. So like
my mom said that too.
Very much so. Always helps. So like for one of my like if a close friend of yours like loses their mom, like asking about stories or certain things like that or whatever, and like I mean this just happened, but like obviously so many of my things that I say I'm like, well, Cody, and it's like I always feel like I don't want to make someone feel weird. Like it's therapeutic to like
That's
it's very
exactly
helpful.
what my mom says.
Yes, because it's like you don't want to like just erase them from. I mean, Cody was like my whole life. Like you don't want that. It doesn't just like go away.
So, like, being your friend, would you enjoy if, you know, we were reminiscing on memories you had with him?
Yeah, or like just people not feeling weird if it's like brought up. Like I get people not
getting
feeling
awkward.
Yeah, people get, which I get. People
get it
just
too.
don't know how to. Like I would much rather people not know how to deal with grief, meaning that they've never experienced it. You know what I mean? It like it's sad. Like you can always tell like when you are someone. Yeah, there's no guide, but you can always tell when someone has, because they like there's certain, and it's like it makes you sad for them. Like I don't want anyone. Like obviously like another reason I wanted to talk about this, besides the fact that it would be like so fucking weird if I just like came on the podcast and like just went back and said nothing, is that I think it's helpful to like hear people who have gone through this. And I've had so many messages from people who have like unfortunately gone through very similar experiences. I also got messages from people, and like every time I tell this, I said this in the YouTube video, it like makes me cry. But I had so many people who were like, which is odd because I don't feel like Cody was in my content really at all as he got older. When he was younger, he was, but a little bit. But he just went to high school and like was too cool, and like, you know how it is with a brother. But they were like, as much as I feel like I grew up with you, like I feel like I really grew up with like Maddie and Cody, and this just like makes me so sad. Like it's hit me in like a very different way. And like those messages are so, I've gotten so many messages like that, which I was just shocked by because I really didn't put him, I don't film my family much. Like that's why I think people are always so confused by the fact that I have so many siblings, but I don't even really film my cousin Austin, and I'm with Austin. I talk to Austin. Like Austin is like a best friend to me, you know? And yeah, I just like haven't really put my family on, and I have a massive family. But like
my family's
like,
very important too.
Yes. Oh, and that's another thing I will say. Like I will never be a like career first person over family ever now. Like I think when I was younger, had none of this happened to me, like I would have been so like, that is the most important thing to me, whatever. And there's nothing in my life that is more important than people. And that I think is what I learned from losing my cousin and my stepbrother so close. Like there's just nothing more important. And like that was a huge, and thank God I moved back to Texas because he was gonna move into this house at one point. Like he wanted me to buy a house with a bedroom so he could move in. And I mean, we spent so much time together. He would be at my house. Like he would just he was very classic Cody. Like if he would just call me and he was like on my way, he's 10 minutes out from my house, and be like, and not leave for like 7 days. Like we would spend so much time like that, where it was like we were together literally 24/7. So like maybe he was in those vlogs and I just like didn't realize it. But like even it's like I've always thought about like living in Nashville, like always. And I don't, the problem is that I really just love Texas and I love living here. And I love my family. Like I don't want to not see Sophie grow up, and like I'm so involved in her life, and now Mateo, like I don't want to not see my nieces and nephews and like be with my siblings and whatever. But now I'm like, I just can't like, I don't know. I'm like, I just can't like not live near my family. Even if I were to just do like couple month stints, things like that. I don't know. There's just nothing more important to me. Like it makes you think it's like literally none of this work stuff even fucking matters. Like it just isn't. It's just not it's not even what fulfills me at the end of the day anyways, compared to people regardless. But like it really just does not matter. And like you will die, and that will not be the thing that matters. Like you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think I'm very, very glad that I've been here for the past 4 years, because I got to spend that time with him.
Me too.
And even before that, like Cody would come and stay with me for like a week in LA. He would always come visit. He visited me the most out of anyone in my family. And he was just always so chill. Like Cody never, I would be like, do you want to go to Catch? Do you want to go do this? Do you want to go to this? He literally would like bring video games and be like, no, I just kind of wanted to hang. He wanted Subway. Like he never needed anything nice. He never, like there's this really funny story my dad my parents didn't speak at the funeral. Like people, like they wrote eulogies and people spoke for them. And my dad's story was like, my parents would always say too that like he really was. He was the lowest maintenance. He never wanted anything. He never wanted anyone to spend any money on him besides me. Like he had no problem asking me for money. Like he had any.
I was gonna say, no wonder he liked coming here for 7 days.
Literally, he had no fucking problem asking me. Like all of his.
But you treated him like a king.
Oh, and because he never asked for anything ever, I was like, sure, like I'll whatever. So like it's crazy. I'm glad that I did this now, but like he all of his like nice jewelry I had bought him as gifts, and he'd asked me like in December, he like sent me a watch, and he's like, I know this is like really expensive, but like can we combine or whatever. I was like, because he would have turned like 21 March 29th. And so I was like, yeah, we can do it as like your birthday and like your combined 21st birthday present. So like I'd already given him like a birthday present to like a year he would never turn. But like I'm really glad that I did that now. But he just was so like low maintenance. Like he just never wanted anything but my dad. He was young. He was probably like 6 at this point. Like my dad would like go into his room and be like, because they were kind of worried. They were like, are you sure you need clothes? Like you need things, like, you know? And he'd be like, do you need to go like back to school shopping? Do you need to do this? Whatever. And he'd be like, no, I'm good. And then my dad's like, really? And he's like kind of walking away a little defeated, because also he's like, well, I kind of want to like go do something with you or something. Yeah. But Cody didn't see it as that, obviously. He like was just like, he didn't want to go shopping. He was a boy. Yeah. And he like turned to him. He's like, it's okay. You spend enough on the girls like already. So it was like things
not
like
him being self-aware.
No, literally. And he was so young. But yeah, he just, I don't know. He put everyone before himself always, which I think ended up also being like very bad for him. But he was just like the least selfish person, the most self-aware, the most like, we have his journals. So like everyone's like been reading journals for like the past like couple of years, and like it's comforting to know like he had gone to like a much better place and had like a much better self-esteem and like was doing all of the things. But it's also like heartbreaking to know like he'd finally gotten like truly to like a better place, and then for all this to happen. But I don't know, I just can't think like, well, what if I did this or what if I did that, or you know, whatever. I just think I really do think like, I do think that like you have a set time, and like that sometimes it's just there's really nothing. There's nothing that like anyone could have done. I mean, specifically with this situation anyways, but it's just like, I don't know like when I'll feel better. I will say I'm very strong. Like I've known that, but like I am very, very, very strong. So it's
you
like,
always have been.
I know that like I will get through. I'm like in therapy immediately again, which I've always really been in therapy, as you guys know. But I'm like taking all the steps. Like I'm not sidestepping anything. Like the last thing I want is for this to be like 5 years from now and I'm in like a worse place. I think the only thing that could like dishonor Cody would be to like not like live my life to like the fullest in the way that he would want. Like I can hear the things that he would be telling me, or like sometimes when I'm like laying in bed, he would always like come over and like sit at the end of my bed and just like talk to me about things. And you know, he was very encouraging, and like I bought the sauna like for him in my house, like for him to come over. And he would just sit there and we would just be talking about like, you know, whatever it is in the family or whatever. And he was just so emotionally intelligent. And he's the baby, not just of our family, but of all of the cousins on both sides. Like he was the baby of the family. He was very much like the baby brother of 2 sisters. Like it was very apparent. But like I know what he would tell me to do. I can hear him saying things. Like I can feel it sometimes. So it's just hard because like I also think like, and again, people who say this stuff like haven't gone through grief, lucky for them. But like I just think about, even like it does feel weird sometimes to like smile or to like have a good day, even though I know that's what he would want me to do. Of course. But it's like, I swear to God, if I get one comment, like if we're at Stagecoach and people are like, that's weird, your brother just died, like I will literally fucking lose my mind. Like because I've seen the comments on other friends of ours that have gone, like I went back and I looked at it to see, because I was like, I don't know like how people are after that, and the comments were just like so bad. I don't think that I would have that like from my audience, but it's just like, it does feel weird to like have a good day or try to smile or try to like have something fun, like,
which is so fair, but you're the only person that should feel that way.
Yes.
No one should ever tell you how you should be feeling.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I know it's like, it's so dumb, and like I understand like people honestly, like I get it. If you don't understand like grief and you don't get how things are so like up and down and whatever, I don't understand commenting that, but I understand like people not getting it and being like, oh, because they assume that you're just gonna be like in bed for the next year. And like grief looks very different. Sometimes it's just you laying in bed and crying, and then other times it's like going on a walk, and other times it's doing things in their memory and like going to things that would like cheer you up. Like even when it's not like, to be very clear, like there's really never going to be a second when I'm like not grieving for a very long time. I think like even when I'm doing anything, it's always on my mind. Like I haven't had like it's just always top of mind, obviously. So I think, and like the holidays will be a lot worse. I'm sure his birthday will be fucking horrible. But yeah, I do like weirdly have that fear. Another thing that I'm dreading is like, and like I don't know the solution to this because I understand why it's said, and like I don't really think there is a solution, but I'm dreading like when I see a lot of people for the first time after this and them being like, I'm so sorry for your loss, just because it takes so much out of me to leave the house. I have to mentally prepare for days. I can't really do more than one thing a day as far as leaving my house. I mean, I was already a homebody, but like just getting up the like mental courage to like leave and be like, I'm gonna be okay, I can do it. And then like I go somewhere after I've worked up so much, and I understand like they're not doing anything wrong by this, but just being like, oh my god, like everywhere I go, you know what I mean? Even though it's like not the wrong thing to do, I just am personally dreading it.
Also, you just don't know like when something's gonna hit like more than other times. Like you don't know if, you know what I mean? Like sometimes something, you don't know how fragile you'll be at a time when someone brings something up or whatever. And I understand that completely. Yeah. But like, I do think it's good. Like, I'm so glad that while we were here, we did something that we knew you would enjoy, which was the horseback riding.
Which was really helpful too, because I knew like that ranch like is my like safe space. It is. Like that is where I go for really just period to feel better about life. I didn't think it would be like it was so much more helpful than I even imagined it would be. And also like I am like close with the people that work that ranch. So like that was helpful.
And on top of that, we weren't planning to go to like dinner or get food after, but you were in the mood. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you can't.
And when you're in the mood, you've got to act on it. Like even eating, like it's like you lose your appetite.
Oh, that's good advice.
If I'm hungry, I have to eat within like 2 minutes, or else the appetite's gone again. And it's like when I eat, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. So it's like I have to, like act on things pretty quickly. You just don't know where you're gonna be. So it like having plan like set. Like I have to go into like the studio next week, like twice, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like that is just so like. And it sounds so stupid because I'm very lucky and I understand a lot of people had to go to work like the next day, I'm sure. But just like sitting in front of a camera and talking, like it just like feels like weird, which I'm sure like going into an office feels weird. Like I empathize with everyone, actually, truly. But I don't know, like I am dreading that, but I think it's going to be okay. But another thing I will say, like I was like, shitting on his high school friends because I like really do hate them so much. But like and every time I really should send Cooper himself a text. Cooper was his best friend, and like I've always loved him, and Cody has always adored him. But I think even just like I cry when I think about Cooper because it's like, and like I haven't even texted him myself about this, but like he was the best friend to my brother I could have ever asked for. Like even like after Cody's passed and we've like read more things and like seen like things that Cooper has written him, and like just their friendship was always they've been friends for so long, like, and they were planning on moving in together in a couple of months, and just like everything that he always did for Cody, and he was literally the best, and he's just the best kid. Like he's so amazing. He always has been. Like he's just the best. But like I get so emotional when I think about Cooper because I feel so bad for him, but also like I'm just so grateful that like at least Cody had him when like so many other like the other, I mean, he was by no means, he didn't have friends. I don't mean like he had a lot of friends, like it's not that, but it just like makes me so sad to think about like that he wasted so much of his life with these fucking losers. And at least like he had Cooper, and Cooper was such an amazing friend. And like as someone who's incredibly protective of my siblings, like I am the nicest person you'll ever meet until it comes to with my sister. I understand why my sister's friends probably think I'm a bitch, because I am when it comes to like not that I'm like that with them and her actual friends, but like I'm very protective of my siblings. Like I'm very like, I'm the least critical person in the world until it's like a friend of my sister's who is like, I can tell not good for her. You know what I mean? Like I'm very protective. I'm also never wrong. That's another important thing to add. I've always been right about every single friend. But anyways, I'm just like really, really like grateful for him, and I love Cooper. If he's like happens to be listening to this, I really should text him. But yeah, so I am really grateful for that. The thing I wanted to end on that I thought was like so bizarre, unless we have like other things that we like forgot, but my cousin, this was like within the week after Cody passed. I don't even think it had been a week. And my aunt called me and she said, wait, like, Justin had like a really crazy experience at work last night. Like we want to tell you. And my cousin Justin lived with me in LA for years. Like he lived in like the house in Studio City and like one of my apartments with me at one point and whatever. Like TK knows him.
I know.
And he was at work in St. Louis, and a girl came up to him and said her name was Mackenzie. And this would have been so early on because I think it was like 24 hours after Justin had found out. And I guess Kody had been talking to Justin, like, in leading up. Like, they had talked very recently about something. So, I think that it was, like, the day before Kody passed or something. It was, like, very, very recent. And Justin was at work. This girl comes up to her, and she said her name was Mackenzie. And she spelled it the same way as me, which I don't spell it the way that, like, most Mackenzies spell. I mean, there's, like, a billion different variations, whatever. And he said, like, he's like, oh, that's funny. That's my cousin's name. He's like, oh, you actually spell it the same way, which like every Mackenzie's like, oh, how do you spell it? It's like one of those names, whatever. It's also weird that my name is actually Mackenzie. Like as I'm saying it out loud, it's like you were actually Taylor.
I know.
That's just not we've had this conversation. It's just like
we're like we forget our real names.
Yeah, like people call her Taylor. She doesn't answer. You know.
I'm literally like, wait, who are we talking to? I'm like Taylor Swift.
Literally. So the girl's name was Mackenzie, and then he looked up, and she was wearing a necklace that said Dakota,
which is crazy.
And he's like, oh, that's so weird. He's like, at that point, I got kind of like emotional because he's like, oh, that's so crazy. He's like, yeah, my cousin's name is Kenzie. I was actually just talking to her. Wow. And then he's like, she's like, oh my God, her brother's name is Dakota. I don't think he said that he had passed at that point. I don't know. And they continued to talk. He's like, that's just so weird. Come to find out, she was almost named Madison. Which is my sister's name.
Insane.
And I was almost named Madison. That's why Maddie got that name.
Oh.
You know, kind of after me if you think about it. But it was just like things like that are so weird. Like I came home, when I was staying with my parents, I obviously wasn't staying at my house, so we had to like go do some things, and I stopped back at my house. And I walked into my house, and the TV in my bathroom does not work. Like I've had it in there. I try to use it every single time I shower. It like literally never works. Cody would take 15 showers a day, and like that's just like if he's anywhere, he's always in the shower. Like literally always in the shower. And I walked back into the house and with my stepbrother Ryan, and I didn't hear anything. The first, like we walked in through this way, and then I didn't hear anything, and then I walked back out and I walked back in, and there was something blasting, and I was like, where is that coming from? I hadn't been at home in days, and like water was going, and I was like, what? That's so weird. There was like some pipe that we had to get fixed, and I walked in, and it was like a podcast episode. It was like a Joe Rogan podcast episode that had significance with me and Cody, and it was blasting at 100 on that TV in my bathroom.
No, it was not.
Which is where he would normally be. Like, it was showering. Like, he's like always like,
no, it
whatever.
was not.
So, and it felt like someone was in the house. Like, even Ryan and I were like, whoa, that's bizarre. Like, it was very weird.
Shut up.
That TV does not work. It does not work. Since then, I've tried. It's worked a little bit better, but it literally does not work.
Wait, this is insane.
It was playing at 100, and it was like a Joe Rogan episode.
No.
Like, yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And so that was like within a week. Like, there's a lot of things that are just like,
whoa.
Odd. I also think.
So what do you take from that?
It gives me some sort of peace. I also think.
Do you feel like that was him?
Yeah, I do. Like a lot of.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely like do. And like my parents, like there's like similar experiences I'm sure that will like continue to happen. But I also think like I got a crazy like email, like work email yesterday that's like literally my dream, like actually my dream, and it's really premature. Like I was talking to I sent it to my family. I like screamed when I got the email, and they were here like, this is crazy. And I'm like, I really do feel like that's like Cody doing something, because a lot of it is just like, I feel like, yeah, that could happen in my career at some point, but I wouldn't have expected like right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, I do think.
I disagree. I think it was like.
Now.
Yeah, I could see it happening.
Yeah. But I think like certain things, like I do think, and I get this from like friends of mine who like lost their dad. They're like, I do think we have like a lot of success because of that. Like a lot of things that are like a lot of things that we wanted in life. They're like, I really do accredit it to that. Like for some reason, like I do think it's like almost like my dad pulling strings in heaven. Like, you know what I mean? Like
whoa.
Doing things like that. But like also to have gotten that email when like I really need an upper. Yeah. You know, like really so desperately. Like I keep saying, I'm like, if one more bad thing happens, I swear to God. Like my 20s are really a wash. Like not to be negative, but like to have lost two siblings in your 20s, two siblings and a cousin in your 20s, like it's just, I mean, it's not been my decade, that's for sure. I'm really ready for my 30s and 4 years.
Let's be honest, you're gonna be thriving when you're in your 70s.
No, that is so true. That is literally so true. Random things too that have been like uppers for me. Like this is like so dumb, but the thing that helps me and distracts me the most, which is really heartbreaking because we're not in season anymore is football, which does make sense because I grew up, like, my dad is like a football fanatic. Like,
it's comforting.
Yeah, my dad is such a sports guy. Like, I grew up, I didn't do like flashcards for like the alphabet. It was like Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys. Like, I grew up literally at my dad's side watching every game, going to all the games. Like, that's always been our thing with sports. So then it was like Taylor Travis during all that. I was going to
say, and we didn't even have Taylor then.
Yes, exactly. And like, I know it sounds stupid, but like the Kelsey brothers and Taylor, like all of that, it's been such a good distraction. Something about like Jason Kelsey and Kylie are so comforting to me. So like I listen,
comforting to everyone.
Truly. Like I listen and it's like genuinely been so helpful. Like it sounds weird. Just like New Heights and just anything that Jason did a lot of podcasts when he was at the Super Bowl, so I've been listening to a lot of those.
Got it.
And then needle pointing has obviously been like a huge thing. And I'm just like giving myself grace. I've never like I've never like taken this much time off of like anything in my life. Like I've never, which I know I needed, and I know I need to get back to it, but I just know I don't want to like push myself too hard and go too extreme and like I don't really want to try to distract myself. Like I want to like really go through it and like deal with it head on, because I just don't want it to get worse and worse and worse than it has to be in life. Not that I'm ever gonna like, I don't mean that I'm gonna like try so hard to get over it now. Like I know that's not how it works, but I do want to just like, I want to like deal with it in like the healthiest way possible. And again, like right now as I'm talking, it doesn't feel real. Like it's weird because I'll have like out of body experiences where like even like in therapy, like my therapist will like say something back to me and I'm like, wait, what do you mean Cody isn't here? Like it just doesn't feel real. In the coming weeks, I said this in my YouTube video, like I don't want my like podcast and like YouTube channel to like be like a really depressing place. Like it's gonna be a like distraction for myself included. So we will be back to like quote normal like episodes and things like that,
regular scheduled
stuff. I'm gonna record things on like days that I'm in like better moods and everything. It's just like obviously I'm so unbelievably deeply sad. Like depression doesn't, I have been clinically depressed, doesn't even like in my experience even touch grief. Like the feeling of grief is, for me, it's like depression and so much other things that are just a lot like different, and like they're both horrible, but obviously grief, like you lost something. So yeah, like I will still be like incredibly depressed, I think, for like a very long time, but I'm trying my best because like I know like what Cody would want me to do. I also think weirdly like I do get like strength from Cody some days, like because like I know even like the first week I think of everything that like we got done. Just because like I know like what he would want me to do, and it is comforting to me, and I do have like immense peace just knowing that like he is finally happy, like to know like he had just had such a hard time in like the past couple of years, and like to know like he doesn't have to feel that way anymore, and like obviously it's horrible for us, and like he would never like ever, he didn't even like if he said something and maybe I took it the wrong way, it would eat him alive. Like he would never, he's just like really like, oh my God, no, that's not what I meant. Kenzie, please. No, like he would just like, if he saw us, like this is his absolute nightmare. But I do just think like when I read, especially the Imagine Heaven book, it helps me immensely. Like anyone who's going through grief, I literally cannot recommend that book enough. It is like a Christian backing. And as someone who is like, sure, Christian, but like not in, like a
religious way,
not in like a religious way, it's very helpful. Like it's also like a really interesting read. Like I would recommend it to anyone.
I will make her link it below.
Yes, we'll get it below. That's been very helpful. But like yesterday, that was the first time I like went on a walk. Like that was the first time I like really had done like anything.
I'm so glad.
So that was good. So I'm gonna like start incorporating like certain things that I know like I need to do. But just know like even when you see me like acting like normal and happy, like I am unbelievably miserable. So and that's not gonna make anyone feel better. But like that is like my distraction. And, like, I know that it's not taking away from the loss of Cody, but, like, I just, like, I can't handle any single comment of someone being, like, something.
You will be blocked.
No, and, like, if you are a hater to me, I will be a hater to you. Like, I actually, at this point, like, I'm really not going to be, maybe I will. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be the bigger person, but, like, I will not be the bigger person for the time being. Like, if you send something like that, I'm contacting your employer. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I really don't. Like, watch out. I've done it before, so. Watch out, seriously. Leave one thing. Like, oh my God. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being so understanding and so nice.
And for all the people that have reached out via DM. And,
yeah, everyone who's been messaging me and like checking in, and people, I've gotten like so many girls who have messaged me like multiple times, just like saying like, I'm still thinking of you and your family. Like
that's really amazing.
It's really
special.
We're
really
lucky
special
to have a
community like that.
Yes.
In addition to the community in our real lives.
Yes, and people have just been like so nice. So like I really am trying my absolute best. And yeah, I mean like weirdly it will go back to like regular scheduled programming, but like I will just not be in like a great place for long. But I'm going to like my cousin's getting married, I'm going to Nantucket, like we are going to Stagecoach, like there's a couple things like coming up, so I think that I was scared until like this trip made me think like, okay, I really should do that stuff, because it is really helpful for me to be around like y'all, like certain like specific groups of friends, obviously.
Also, like wherever you go, if you decide you're like, I can't do this today, or I don't want to do it at all, like you literally don't have to.
Yeah, and I can just like stay at home and it's fine. So
I will drive you back to LA.
Thank you. If any of you guys have any sort of like experience or like connections or something to like starting like some sort of a foundation, like any and all help would be like greatly appreciated. Like even if you just like
any resources,
yeah, like if you just have some sort of experience or whatever, like that is something that my mom and I are definitely gonna do together. Actually, we had to stop recording. My mom had texted me like about a foundation thing, so I mean that will be done like sooner rather than later. There's a lot of things that my mom has like really good ideas for already, but if anyone has any sort of
connections, resources, phone
just
numbers,
like information,
emails,
like
info,
just even like your experience, like it would be like really helpful. So
and I will try and find, or with the help of Kenzie, try and find links to mental health nonprofits that exist right now that we can link below if anyone that is struggling or yourself and wants to check it out.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, TK. I really appreciate it. Background, TK also told me like immediately, she's like, if you need help with the episode, and I was like, no, I think I can do it myself. And then I filmed the YouTube video and I was crying and I audio messaged her and I was like, no, like I really need you to help me with this episode. I was like, I actually changed my mind.
I also just want, like, sometimes it's nice to just, because podcasting's awkward, especially alone, at least for me. I'm like not great at it, and sometimes it's nice to just even having someone to listen to you in real life, even though we know y'all are listening. But I just was like, any way, shape, or form I can help, I will. But I'm glad that you did this, and we are so grateful to have you to watch as someone to look up to and learn so much from on the internet. Like, you've been all of our big sister for such, and our friends, and you are an escape for a lot of people, and I just want you to know that, and we're really grateful for you, and you being willing to share this experience is super brave and is going to help a lot of people, and you're gonna get through this. And I'm here for you.
Thanks,
and
TK. I love you. So that's the episode. Love you guys. We'll have everything in the description.
Love you.
Next week will be a fun, uplifting one with Macy.
Okay? Oh, really?
Yeah, we have a good thing because Macy and I have like something coming out.
What episodes can we look forward to?
We've got Macy coming on. I have a good, really fun like community style episode that's coming up. People will love.
Oh, awesome.
I have like some other friends coming on again.
And she has really exciting other things coming out soon.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. So anyways, love y'all. Bye.
Love y'all.